Y'all ready?
Ready.
Let's get it.
Welcome back to another episode of Muse, where we talk about anything creative. We have your host, Ezra.
And Nasim.
We got a guest today.
What's up, guys?
Would you like to introduce yourself? What you do?
Up? Yeah, my name's Brendan Babinski. I'm a cinematographer. Do a little bit of everything, narrative, commercials, whatever comes my way.
Dope.
That's great. That's great. Actually, right now, give me your Instagram handle before we forget.
Okay. All right. Check me out at Brendan Babs.
That's great.
Solid.
That's great. And what got you into like cinematography?
Man, taking it back to like middle school, I was skateboarding, hanging with the skaters, and that was like how you complimented the skating. You filmed it, and I wasn't that good.
So you're the filmer guy.
Exactly.
You like hold the camera.
Exactly. So I would just film, and then that turned into like making silly montages, and then it just kept going and going, and then just stuck with it.
I mean, everyone has something for them, so it's like no matter your interest, there's always something in there for you.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Especially in Baltimore, we got a very diverse, I would say, skating community.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I swear that the skating community in all aspects, like they push the fashion in a lot of ways. They push what's popular. They push the artistic values in a lot of different things.
100%.
Yeah.
Now everybody's wearing cargos and Carhartts and stuff like that.
Carhartts on right now.
Right.
So that's definitely it. That's definitely it. So what would you say like some of your film influences growing up?
I was always kind of like anti, like I felt like I had to be like, let me not do what the mainstream. I don't know where that came from.
Be different.
I wanted to be different.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was insecure that I came from a small city and like I wasn't anybody. So maybe some serious stuff is coming out. But maybe I felt like I had to be different. So like I didn't watch the classics. I just watched like little indie films like on Vimeo and little skate films. And I thought I was being different, you know?
Do you feel like that leads to your videography today?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Especially skateboarding, because it's very like kinetic and you're moving with them, and it's almost like
it's one shot too, right?
Yeah, it's almost a little bit more documentarian. So you're like, you're thinking how to cover a sequence in like a practical way.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily overthinking it. You're just like, how do I get the shot? Which is a nice way to think about it.
That's different.
Yeah. I like watching skate films on YouTube. They're always interesting, and you get different flavors and tastes.
Yeah.
Do you think is it 90s?
90s?
Yeah, that movie 90s by Jonah Hill.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that was a good, I guess, representation of what skate culture is?
For sure. Although, that was in LA, so it's a little different from what I grew up in, but I think so. It was like, what are the cooler older kids doing? Because they're your influences. Like, for me, it was like the cooler older kids at the skate park. Like, they're kind of intimidating.
That's what it's like. I think the skate community is the only community where you see a grown man hanging out with like, I would say a high schooler or a middle schooler, and they're falling in love with just skating, pushing each other with just skating. Yeah. Like the skate community has a lot of that,
Would you feel that also translate in the film industry? Like, do you feel like there's a lot of different like ages and demographics that stick together, even though they wouldn't stick together in a normal setting?
Yes and no. Unfortunately, the film industry is a little bit like ageist, I guess. I don't know if that's maybe like a victim mentality to look at it, but like, most people don't make it, so to speak, as like a successful cinematographer till they're like 40, 50, sometimes 60. And the same with directors. Directors sometimes are a little younger, but like, unfortunately, because that's how it is, sometimes if you're a little younger, you're not taken as seriously. But it's changing. It's starting to change for sure.
Especially with social media, I think that plays a major impact on allowing younger people like ourselves to have any type of voice that we can create.
I mean, even when YouTube first came out, like a lot of people was like, "Oh shoot, I can just put it on there. I don't have to go through a certain means to post."
100%.
So that leads to our main question: like, how do you find your voice in film?
Okay, great question. I've been thinking about it. And it goes to something you were saying earlier about, starting this podcast. You got to start somewhere. And Yeah, you just have to make stuff. Like, so I was talking to somebody yesterday, who wants to be a writer in film. And I said, can I give you a piece of advice? Like, do you mind? And he said, yeah. And I said, just make something. Like, I don't care how bad it is. It's probably going to be bad, but you have to make it. You have to make so much stuff and see what sticks. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is, like, because you said, how do you find your voice? You have to listen to your instinct.
Yeah.
Again, it might be bad, but it's better than copying somebody else.
Yeah.
Because you're not learning anything about yourself, really.
Mm-hmm.
Or not starting because of fear. Like, I realize a lot of people have a lot of great ideas or even bad ideas. And a lot of times people don't want to start it. And it spends in years, like 5 years, 10 years go down. It's like, you haven't started anything. It's like, for you to be considered director, you just gotta, I don't know if you could be a good director, but you just gotta record something.
Put yourself out there and be okay with looking ugly, starting ugly. Ugly. Not starting as, no one's gonna start glamorous.
Yeah.
Nobody, like, we don't got the best equipment here. It can only get better, but starting somewhere, one, you're using the budget that you have. You can't make anything good with a low budget. How can you make anything good with like a grand budget?
Right.
It's almost impossible.
Our first podcast started on Zoom.
Really?
We were on Zoom and we were screen recording.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane.
And we just like cropped in like our faces to where like the shot.
And I still think it was some small things is good. It's a lot of bad in it, but we had a lot of people helping us. We had our other co-host Emmett helping us with the editing. Yeah. So it became a show that was very unique in a sense.
True.
And I'm still inspired about that show to this day. Like, but how can I take those good components and bring it into this more mature view, knowing what works and definitely leaving out what doesn't?
Because I feel like your voice always matters. It's just, regardless of the means you're putting it out, it's going to be heard some way, somehow. Mm-hmm. You just got to have the guts to just go for it.
100%. Yeah. For the record, I'm not hating on the setup. It's great. We're all growing,
Well, sure. What's something that you have directed, and what was like the message that you put out within it, and how do you decide what message you wanted to put out?
Oh man, my brain's going so many different directions.
Yeah, that's great.
I mostly work as the cinematographer, the shooter, but I have, to your point, I have directed a couple things, and deciding what those things are going to be. Making a film is so much work. It takes all of your energy, all of your favors, all of your money. If you're not working for a big studio. So if you're going to make something, it's got to be like the thing you want to make.
Yeah.
So the films I've made in the past have to do with like family themes, because that's what's relevant to me. Those are topics I'm trying to explore, like my relationship with other family members. How do we navigate them? How do we reconcile things? How do we reconcile relationships, or do we not? You know? Those are kind of like, those are the topics that I've chosen to navigate because it's what I care about. So it's not that it's gonna make it easy, but
that's another way of finding your voice. Like, if you share something that's actually real to you, it's gonna be heard, rather than you coming up with something fake or something that you can't relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true. That's definitely a good
and like
point.
you said, like, it takes everything out of you. Like the love of anything, being passionate about anything. When you love something, you give everything to it. You throw everything at it, and nothing's promised. It doesn't promise people's gonna like it. It doesn't promise people's gonna even watch it, enjoy it in the first place. But it is for you. Yeah. The main thing is promise that you're gonna feel fulfilled, that you've done it in the first place,
100%.
and that you don't gotta live with that in your body. Like, dude, I wish I created it. Yeah. No, I did.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I did do it.
That's another, like, the thing about being creative is it's never promised. So like you said, it's just everything that we do, we throw our lives into it. I lose sleep. My health sometimes, like, I'm congested right now because of things I did that I do need to work on. Like I said, we had healthy habits before. Being healthy is one of them, and staying fit is one of them. But of course, there's times where you just have to throw everything in it, and it's not promised, but you have to have the real passion and actually relate it to yourself to really care about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You said, so you do a lot of things within cinematography, being the cameraman and stuff like that. So that means you do industry work. So that's another question we had was, how do you find your voice, or I guess, how do you find your vision within the industry, and how does your personal work transfer over to industry work?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Kind of what I was alluding to earlier is this sort of like resistance from the industry. If you're not a certain age, if you're not at a certain landmark, like people don't want to give you money because, like I said, it costs so much money to make a film. Like you need to convince other people to give you money to do it.
Yeah.
So like, how do I get my voice out with those sort of like speed bumps? Man, that's a tough question.
I mean, I feel like sometimes, like even when I work as an illustrator sometimes here and there, and I realize like when you do a project, a lot of times they want it to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And I feel like the only way you can is you have to kind of force people to follow your intuition with their restrictions.
Yeah.
Like you can't do this, you can't do this, you can kind of do this. I want this type of vibe. You have to kind of be like, well, this is what you want.
Yeah.
I saw this one thing. It's like you gotta sell them that.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta sell them their idea.
Yeah.
You know,
you came up with this.
You came up with it, but I'm really selling you my idea, what your idea should be.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like just like you said, right now I'm doing it's like a branded documentary. I'm not gonna say what for, but like, you know, they gave me the guidelines and then I make the edit and I say this is what you want. Like you said, I'm forgetting it's a documentary and I lay the footage on the timeline and I'm like, what's interesting? What's interesting to me? How does music affect this sequence? How does graphics, and I just follow my mind.
Yeah.
Then show it to them and be like, yeah, this is what you want.
This is what you want, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is it like? I know Ezra told me that you have worked with Complex and stuff like that. What is that, being a part of that industry, like?
It's really cool. I have to like step back sometimes and be like, this is really cool and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I've been working with them for like 4 or 5 years. So sometimes I'm like, oh, this is just regular, you know?
Yeah.
But then I'm on set with, like, I ran into Action Bronson literally yesterday on the street. And I was like, hey, remember when we worked together?
Right.
I don't know if you remembered me. But like, it's moments like that I'm like, I work with all these famous people in some capacity.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool. Like,
That's
I'm
super
grateful,
interesting.
You know?
That's super interesting.
Appreciation.
So like, who was like the most famous person you've seen? Like, because I know like with like Complex News, y'all work with a lot of people like within hip hop and all that stuff. Like, who's the most famous person you ever seen?
Man.
The people need to know.
At least for you.
I mean, Will Smith is pretty famous. I mean, obviously there's some stuff going on, but this was before all that.
Some controversy.
And that was wild because I don't want to say too much, but he brought like entourage of like 50 people in this one little store. Him and Martin Lawrence.
Damn! I watched that. The sneaker shop.
Yeah.
That's fire.
They brought like 50 people.
Wow.
Our director, producer at the time, Anna Stan, shout out Anna, was like standing up on a chair trying to like get everybody to quiet down because it's just the energy in the room is crazy. And that was cool. That was a fun one.
That's so interesting. That's so dope. Is he tall in person?
He's tall.
Very,
very charismatic. Like,
I sometimes feel like he has a fake voice.
He
sounds like he has a fake voice.
It's real. At least from what I heard. But
that's dope.
Very charismatic.
I need to learn how to work a room like him someday.
Yeah.
Someday I'm gonna get there and build myself up there.
Just grab random people off the street and be like, all right, I need 50. We're gonna try this out.
Yeah.
Honestly. So like, where are you from?
All right, so I'm from Midland, Michigan, but I like to tell people Chicago because it's kind of cooler.
Okay.
Because I lived in Chicago. I went to school in Chicago.
Yeah.
You basically had your real childhood in Chicago.
Well, not exactly, but that's where I kind of got my start in the industry.
Okay,
that's when I like started
really?
actually doing, bigger projects and working on like, I got to work on some big union projects and stuff like that. So,
and like I watched things like The Bear. I'm pretty sure Shameless is in Chicago. And like, what do you think that means for, because we're in New York right now, but what does that mean for Chicago to have these different series or like really big things to do with these major networks?
Yeah.
How does that allow Chicago to, I guess, explode in cinema and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Like we were saying earlier, those shows, there's like Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago Justice.
Chicago, everything.
I don't know if they're all still there, but like those shows kind of like sustain the industry. There's also The Shy. I don't know if you guys have seen. There's a few other ones.
Yeah.
And those kind of sustain the industry. I remember when I think those shows were on hiatus or something happened, and all of those employees are now not working, and then they kind of like take the other jobs. So it's kind of proved like, so then people like me who are not in the union and are like fighting for those jobs, it's tougher. So like when those shows are there, it helps everybody.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Do you think you would ever want to like go back to Chicago and like with the skills that you have now acquired and all this different stuff and like build something like really deep in Chicago?
That's a good question. When you ask it this time, I'm thinking maybe. Before I was like, nah, I don't think so.
Because I'm from Baltimore, you know. In Baltimore, we have The Wire. Right. You know, we just had this new show that's on HBO Max with the dude who plays the Punisher. It's about the cops, like the corrupt cops and all that stuff. Okay. I forget the name of the show. Yeah. But that was like a pretty big deal as well. Yeah. So it's like, I love to see big things happening in Baltimore, even though it's not always a lot of it. But the more we can get, you know, like, it's a lot of good stories to tell in Baltimore. I think the art scene in Baltimore is growing tremendously, and there's a lot to show there as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start something someday. I don't know.
There you go.
Well, I'll tell you, it's like, we're just gonna lie.
He's gonna be our ticket into the industry. You already got it.
Sure, let's go.
we're just gonna lie. We're gonna say this podcast in Baltimore.
There we go.
This cap all the way.
We're filmed in Baltimore, guys.
Exactly.
That's actually interesting. Who's like one of your favorite? I guess now since you said that
favorite.
Like who's one of your favorite directors?
Ooh.
I have some favorites too.
Mine's Martin Scorsese, easily.
Can't beat it. Yeah.
Can't beat it. Goodfellas is my favorite movie.
That's fire.
That was a fire movie.
You go first, and then...
You know what's funny, though? I'm not big on the director names. I have movies. Okay, that's fair. I have movies I enjoy.
All right, they're saying we probably see we know the director.
All right. Joker.
Yeah, Todd Phillips. Yeah. Amazing.
But the Joker was kind of inspired by
Taxi Driver.
Scorsese, because Taxi Driver.
True.
You know, so in a way... you're my son. I'm playing.
But like Joker, Our Dogs. It's a stop motion movie.
Oh,
Our Dogs.
Was that
It's that one guy everybody like.
No, not.
Was it Paul Thomas Anderson or no?
Thomas Anderson. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it has. I mean, of course, I'm mainly illustrating stuff by like interesting characters.
Yeah.
And I feel like that movie affected me a lot. There's a lot of great graphic design elements in there.
Yeah.
It's a vibe for sure.
I gotta see that.
It's interesting that you're just saying movies, because like we talked about this previously before. It's like sometimes some directors can only make one great piece and stuff like that, or like one piece that speaks to a lot of people. You know, and I think the reason why I say Scorsese is like my favorite director, because it don't matter if I'm watching Taxi Driver or Casino or Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is great.
I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah. You know, I'm going to enjoy, like, any Scorsese film has a voice in me and just a way or a flow to me that I really relate to. And I'm not a gangster, but I would love to be one.
I like Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And that's not because of it's trendy to like Tim Burton, but I feel like back, like, it kind of inspired me a lot with my artistic direction of Tim Burton films.
Yeah.
I don't know. It has a place in my heart.
Yeah. Okay, I thought about it. I would say, you guys know Spike Jonze? He did Her. Remember that movie? The guy fell in love with the robot.
Yeah.
He's a skater, which is like
he's like he got it instantly.
Yeah, his story is like, I mean, I didn't have the same story as him, but like he started out like making skate videos and music videos, and then now he won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Like it's amazing.
Fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Did you watch Creed 3?
I haven't seen it.
Because, I was ready to say, like, he's an actor, but he just had his first directing debut. Yeah. And we both watched it, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't see Creed 3 at all. It's a lot. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's a lot of good anime influence within it.
Really? Anime?
Yeah, I would say anime. When you come to them, the boxing and stuff, you definitely can see it if you watch a lot of things like Dragon Ball, especially.
Wow, I had no idea.
And that's what really turned me up. Because, like, if you watch that, when they do, I'm not going to spoil anything, but when they do something, you're just like, bro, that reminds me of some Dragon Ball stuff that I seen. Like they pulled that straight from the screen and put it on there. So it was great. I actually enjoyed it.
But do you have any, like, anime, like, movies that you really enjoy?
I never really got into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to watch when I was a kid. I would catch like Dragon Ball Z or like Pokemon. That's anime, right?
But like, yeah. I mean, anime. I mean, Pokemon is controversial. You know, you be careful when you say that.
I don't want to start anything.
No, but like, I mean, like stuff like Akira or Spirited Away.
Yeah, I would say Spirited Away.
But Akira, though, I feel like that movie was a big influence on just animated films. Period.
Yeah,
because that movie was. I don't know the exact time of release, but that movie inspired other people to be like, "Oh, let's go overseas with it. Let's do Dragon Ball overseas.
Yeah,
let's do anime overseas."
But also Akira, like even within just illustration alone, has so much influence. I know even with other illustrators, he even brings some Akira elements to it. So it's like really dope. I
or Ghost in the Shell. If you ever have Ghost in the Shell, it's like I'm trying to remember I don't know if it's Ghost in the Shell, but I think Ghost in the Shell does have a lot of influence on Black Swan.
Okay.
But like Ghost in the Shell is a great animated film that I feel like inspires a lot of directors to bring that vibe into their movies.
I got some homework to do.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah,
there's some good writing there.
Yeah,
and I guess this leads to another good question is, how do you like to write when it comes to like writing? Just initial concepts, ideas, just putting together something just to have a good blueprint of what you're trying to create.
I just free write. Like I struggle with the structure, so I just put it out. I'll literally write bullet points. Like I'll just type bullet points and then just see where it goes. In the past, I've brought in other people because again, I'm not like a naturally talented writer. So I'll put out my concept. I'll put specific quotes, specific influences, and then bring someone in to
I see.
To tighten up the structure.
Right.
I'm not trained like that. I can't do the structure really.
But at the end of the day, I mean, film is primarily about vision.
Yeah.
You know, without vision, the words can be whatever. Like I watched like a Christopher Nolan film, Tenet.
Yeah.
You can't understand what the hell they're saying the whole movie. No. And it's just like I watched that movie like 3-4 times. I enjoyed it. It could be better if I can understand what he was saying, but it still grasped me in some way, you know? So the vision was there. And I think the vision is what captures a lot of people.
For sure. I think that's getting a little hot in here. Sorry, guys.
If the lights on us.
I think that's the perfect example of vision, Christopher Nolan. Like, you know it's a Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Because he has the vision.
Do any of y'all know, like, have you ever heard of the movie The Outsider?
No.
So basically, it starts off like this white guy. He's in a Japanese prison, and he ends up becoming like a yakuza.
Oh damn!
Yeah, I had to question about it, but none of y'all seen it, but you have to watch it. It's really good. The vibes are there.
Okay.
I just don't know who did it.
I'm going to watch that shit too.
It's good. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
But like,
more homework. I gotta watch that.
We'll give you a lot of homework.
Yeah,
it's like you came here to talk, but we gave you homework.
It's good.
But like I feel like I do comics. I just started getting into comics.
Yeah.
And I feel like my writing is like I think I follow like a cut and dry version. Yeah. Like I like to straight up just like bullet point out like, oh, here's the points that I want to hit.
Yeah.
And then from there I go from points, and then that's when I break it down to like, because you know comics are by chapters or by like pages or whatever, so which makes it a lot easier, or by arcs or seasons, whatever.
Yeah, volumes as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like I like to break it down from there. Then I do like a little quick summary, and then I go from like, all right, here's each page, and then I go from here's each panel. Yeah. And here's what each panel is trying to tell.
So I think specific.
Yeah, comics very like force you to write a specific way.
Yeah. Before
you get to like the storyboard and to the actual illustration.
Okay, so let me ask you. I don't know if we can see this in the shot, but something like this. Where do you even start?
Oh, pass it to me.
Yeah. Like, are you just free? This is too complex to just be free writing, right?
So this right here, this piece was actually a representation. I try to remember the exact theme of it, but it was like becoming anew, like going through transformation. So initially. Crazy. I have the first panel the first panel, which is this one, which is simply the start. This is actually about giving birth.
Whoa.
So first, when you have like a young lady, like a young girl,
I
feel like growing up, she has a lot of things to look out for, and she's observant of her surroundings because, you know, nowadays young especially I grew up for a black woman, so young black women and like color, women of color have to deal with like the out like they tell your mother tell you like, oh, you got to be careful. There's guys this that and third. You got to be careful out here. So that's what I wanted to do was depict that as a way of outseeing and stay tight and condensed. So this is like going through transformation and growing. So when you become a mother, I feel like it's unexpected. So it's like an explosion of chaos. And you're going through growth and you're experiencing different things and you're just trying to find your way. Yeah. So this is what this kind of simulates. And it also simulates like stages of life. Like you have the struggle of strife going through the visual of like trying to grasp you and lock you down and hold you in the outseeing eye. So that's where I came with that.
Grabbing her?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's kinda like, you know, you pick a scene and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have her coming into herself and becoming new and growing.
Wow.
And so I initially think when it comes to a story like this, it's very abstract. But sometimes I like to break down the points. It's like, how can I take this point and explain it in the simplest images image possible? You can always add to it. So I feel like that's what made me go from 3 stages, and it's like this stage is this. How can I communicate that? This stage, so it's like limiting yourself in a frame.
Yeah. There's a lot of story elements to it. And I just love how you come from like something that's so chaotic and in ways grotesque to something that's so beautiful, elegant, and calming in a sense.
I mean, birth is not like some people don't. I mean, I view it as a beautiful thing, but some people also kind of get icked out by it a little bit. Yeah. So I feel like that was the perfect way to communicate that.
I think the first time someone's standing up on the podcast, so now they know we got legs at work.
Dude, this reminds me so much, not to make it about me, but of a film idea that I have. Yeah. We should talk after because it's like thematically it's very similar.
Oh, dope, we gotta talk.
I need your help with that.
Got you.
Yeah.
That's actually awesome, so fire.
Yeah.
It blew away every other question I had planned to say.
But it's funny though because like I was talking fine, but when it comes to explain my work, I'm like,
right. And I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, damn, I never knew that, bro. I reposted it, liked it, commented, never knew what it was about, but I enjoyed it.
It's amazing, dude.
There's a lot, like, obviously we can get into it more later on. There's a lot more with like the frame, how it like actually did the frame and how it actually did the process of making it work. But I don't know. I might do an explanation video about it.
You should. It's what's so cool is that like, and this relates to filmmaking a bit too. It's like you could walk by that and immediately you see the technical skill. You're like the detail's incredible. Like technically, this is incredible, right?
Appreciate it.
But you didn't talk about any of that. You spoke about the message.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool. It has depth to it.
Yeah.
Like you're his homie. You didn't even fully know.
Right.
It has so much depth to it.
For sure.
And it's same with film, like specifically cinematography. It's so technical. We're talking about electricity and ratios when we're lighting and
something people don't think about.
It's so technical, but also like, I don't want to say the more important thing, but the messaging and the creative part of it is what's like more deep.
Truly, because like we can see some beautiful movies. I know it's something that just came out within the past years, like beautiful films,
Avatar.
But they're not saying nothing.
Right.
So like, what are you saying?
Avatar is really beautiful, but
you know, like what is it saying?
I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't even watch Avatar 2.
It looks beautiful, but I'm not even.
I don't know because I don't really. I just can't really grasp the message of it because like it's a lot of like indigenous and African culture aspects in Avatar, but it's a lot of white people in it too. So it's very. I don't understand the message. Yeah. I don't understand the message.
But it's beautifully done, and I see also other movies that are done with like a phone. And it's like shaky down. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting and intriguing. Yeah, it helped me think.
So what's some of your favorite cinematographer techniques when it comes to like handheld versus gimbal techniques versus whatever? Hit us with some complicated stuff that we don't even know about.
I mean, it's a tough question to answer because it's so specific to each film. Like the technique used is gonna vary completely based on what you want to say. I'm working on a series right now, and what I keep asking the director is like, what is the mood of the scene, or how does this character feel? Because that's going to impact and inform the technique used.
Yeah, for sure.
For example, if it's like, it's kind of a classic one is like if it's more tense, it's handheld and it's got, a little movement to it.
Shakiness.
Yeah, and then it also lets you like move more freely through the space. So it just depends film to film,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an action scene, you never know what's going
right.
on.
Yeah.
But you got like some directors that's known for having this type of shot, like
for sure.
Like these type of overhead shots. Like I'm pretty sure that is what's his name? Damn, bro.
What movie?
Tarantino. He loves like overhead
Tarantino.
shots and things like that. And they got a lot of shots like that in movies.
Yeah.
So it's like having those different shots are a staple shots. Do you have one that's a staple for you?
Okay, I'm gonna flip this on you and turn it into a question to see what you guys think. So, they say different directors and different cinematographers have their own styles.
Yeah.
But there's some people who might say that's a bad thing. You shouldn't have a style because you should serve the individual story. Dude, what do you think about that?
I actually agree, and I also disagree depending on your medium. So, and depending on where your goals are. Like, as an illustrator, if you want to be self-sustaining and you also have a certain, like, okay, I'll just give you examples. Like, I know an artist named Mobius. Mm-hmm. He's a French illustrator, and I use him a lot. But Mobius is known for having different styles, but there's different stages of his life. So I feel like everyone's going to go through different stages, but I do think there's times where you have to be consistent to get that notoriety on yourself so you're recognizable. And there's certain times where you can actually switch up the script. But I do feel like being consistent on a certain time period is good for your career or whatever.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's kind of like the original question you asked me. It's like, it's a two-part thing. It's like, how do you find your voice and how does that work within the industry?
Yeah.
It's like, you have your voice. Some people may say I have a certain style. I like a lot of like saturated blues and greens and like high contrast.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, I'm interviewing for this film and maybe that's not the style, but I want to get the job because I want the opportunity. It's like, how do you navigate within the industry?
Yeah.
You kind of have to bend sometimes.
I feel like it's also like depending on like what you're doing. Like, I do feel like when you're like the technical person that's like assigned the lighting and stuff, that adds a lot to the mood and the feeling of the storytelling compared to someone that's a writer, where someone could be a writer and have certain things that they stick by, but can be applied to different situations.
I would say like in all things, it's patterns. Patterns. So like, for example, we're talking about styles and different things like that and what is most beneficial for the film. I think we can look back and be like, all right, what is a successful pattern that works with this? If it's an overhead shot, if it's a panty shot, if it's a handheld shot, in drawing, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do stippling, I'm going to do hatching. For example, different type of compositions and stuff like that. Like, what is the most successful pattern? And you got to master that to then know how to break that. People want to know how to break things, but you got to master it first and know, is it a way to now do something that's unconventional?
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel as though you can still show your voice in anything without doing the most conventional thing.
Yeah.
But you got to truly know the most successful pattern first and know why you're breaking it in the first place.
What brings that image together? What brings that message across?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's great. I like that question.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of like messing up and doing it wrong first, to figure that out. So
we just had an episode about that.
We have.
Fail faster.
Fail faster and leave yourself open to fail,
Yeah.
If you love something, you gotta know that it's worth failing for.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. So I think we hit a lot of stuff. This episode has been fun. Do you have anything you want to share to the public that they can check you out, check out what's coming out next for you?
Yeah, okay. I got a film in a festival. I think it's hold on. I don't want to misquote the festival.
There's no worries, no rush.
I gotta
You have to make sure it's right.
All right, guys.
Just
cut this out if it's too long.
No, it's not. It's chill.
New York Cinefest. Check out our film Last Meal at New York Cinefest.
Last Meal.
Yeah, it's coming up in May, I believe, May 4th through the 11th. So I'll be posting about it on my Instagram.
Sounds great. Sounds
at
great.
Brandon Babs.
That's right. Yeah.
Got it. So thank you so much for tuning in this episode of The Muse. And make sure to tune in next time to get inspired and find your muse.
Subscribe, notification bell.
Comment.
Find your muse.
Tell us what's coming next. Comment, ask anything. All right, sounds great.
Let's go.
All right.